Hi, I'm Brian Grant, and you're listening to On Time, the Brian Grant Foundation podcast about living with Parkinson's. If you want to know more about Brian Grant Foundation, go to briangrant.org.
If you've been listening to season 2 of On Time, a Parkinson's podcast, you've had a chance to hear the stories of 5 people who walked from the city of Portland to the Oregon coast to raise awareness of Parkinson's. They were joined by 7 other teammates, including myself, Katrina, Kahl, the executive director of the Brian Grant Foundation, and my fellow guests today, McCastle and Jenn Rohl. We're here to tell you about our experience on the course as we trekked 130 miles across Oregon. So welcome, guys. How are you doing?
Good.
Good. Everybody's recovered from the race?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so let's start off by talking a little bit about connection to Parkinson's. As you guys know, I started working for the Michael J. Fox Foundation back in 2008, and that's where I met Brian, and I've been an advocate for people with Parkinson's disease since that time. And Jenn, maybe tell a little bit about your connection to Parkinson's disease.
Well, my connection to Parkinson's disease is through my partner. He was diagnosed with it at a young age. It's called young onset Parkinson's disease, or YOPD. I've learned a lot about it through him as he experiences it in the daily life. And so it's, part of our everyday life. And I just try to, make our lives fun and bring joy into everything that I can and what you can keep on doing. So it's a very personal connection.
Yeah. And your partner, Kevin, was with us at the race, and he is season 4 of this podcast series. And so we have some great clips of the two of you at the finish line talking about your experience together, which was really terrific. Mike, how about you? What's your connection to Parkinson's?
Well, my father had Parkinson's disease, and as far back as I can remember, he's had it, and I was essentially a caretaker for him during my teenage years.
Monty Grant, whose father, Brian Grant, also lives with Parkinson's disease, and together we were the other members crammed into 2 vans making our way across Oregon. And so tell me, Jenn, what was the experience like being with Kevin on this relay?
Oh, it was a bonding moment, it was a great experience. It's hard really for me to put it into words because there was just so many levels of joy, enthusiasm, some tears shed. I mean, it was everything because, we were all emotional, all learning about each other because there were 6 of us in each van and 12 to our team. So, you really got to know your teammates well. And I got to know my partner. I was fortunate enough to be able to participate in this event, which I do want to thank the Brian Grant Foundation for that. But it was great. I can't say enough good things about it.
I have to say, I was also struck by how close I felt to my team and the team when we left. And I remember even the week after thinking, I kind of missed my team. I wonder what they're up to, and that 40 hours together is really, really impactful in terms of bonding. And so I'm again, so grateful to you, Jenn, for participating. I'm glad you had that experience. And Mike, what was it like for you joining this journey on behalf of your dad?
I was so thrilled to be asked to join this event. I'm a very active individual, and I love participating in events like this. But to do it with the Brian Grant Foundation and with all the wonderful people that were involved, just made it all the more rewarding. And it brought back many memories of my time with my father and kind of his mentality and mindset dealing with the disease. I saw on full display through many of the members of our team in both vans. And it was a very nostalgic and also a very enjoyable and fun experience for me.
Yeah, I thought it was a really fun experience too. And on that note, what were some of the highlights for you guys, personal highlights of those 2 days?
So there were a few moments being stuck in a van with 5 other people for 2 days. You're bound to have some great stories and highlights. I think one of the highlights for me during the actual race portion or the walking portion was sharing the last leg, sharing Gigi. Gigi was in our van, and sharing part of her last leg with her, and being able to walk with her and just kind of finish that last leg with her, and kind of experience alongside her incredible determination and her incredible grit in wanting to finish that leg. She was going to accept nothing less than finishing strong, and I didn't even need to say many words. She was just very determined, and I really enjoyed that aspect of the race.
Yeah, Gigi is on episode 5, and Gigi was an incredible member of our van. I have to say, Gigi took one of the longest legs of the race. So she had a 7-mile leg, and she had a 7-mile leg where our van couldn't actually be up with her on the course. She was kind of out there on her own without any way of communicating back to us. And at one point, Mike went back to make sure everything was great. And we were all on pins and needles, the rest of us, me and Brian and Amani and Brian, right? We were kind of on pins and needles. And I remember thinking when we finally, in the way her far off horizon, could see 2 pink shirts together, and we knew that Mike and Gigi were about to cross the finish line. It was a really great moment. And I think Gigi's first words to us as she came across were, "Who decided the woman with Parkinson's was taking the longest leg?"
That's funny.
But there were some really good moments. And I do think that determination we saw in every single one of our walkers was a highlight for me as well. And I know, Jenn, I saw you at 5:40 in the morning on Saturday morning, handing the bracelet off to Amani.
Yeah, it was
after walking through the night, the middle of the night in the complete dark, during the drizzle of the Oregon countryside, and but nothing but smiles for you. So
yeah, I mean, I found the experience, peaceful, because it was the middle of the night, and it had that, Pacific Northwest mist, in the mountains. I could hear because there's runners on this course as well as part of this event. And so I could just hear their feet coming up behind me and passing me. And everyone was encouraging, especially when they saw our pink shirts with the Parkinson's awareness. That was probably the most moving part for me, is how many people, the encouragement from everyone that saw our shirts or our van decorated. So just the encouragement of the whole event and everyone really is just, it keeps you going, it keeps you motivated, and it just brings out that, I need to finish. I got to keep, it's going to make me walk faster.
I was in the same boat, when I first started out on my last leg, which was about almost 8 miles. And I was actually surprised at how encouraged I was to keep going and go fast and get and do it. But I was also so excited by the people that would pass me and say, "Awesome that you guys are out here for Parkinson's. Awesome that you're out here for such a good cause." And people really did embrace us. And I will say, by the time we got to the end and Gigi took that leg where we couldn't see her, everybody knew who we were. I don't know if that might have been the experience for you in your van,
yes,
too, Jenn, but at that point, everyone knew who we were, and people were coming across the line to tell us how Gigi was doing.
Yeah.
And it was just a really sweet moment that this whole race and the people on it had embraced us and were hoping to help us get across the line. It was a really cool event in that way. I hadn't really thought about the walking through the night part until suddenly you guys were walking through the night.
Me either.
And, I have to say, so, what was the sense in the van? I think most people told me it was a great experience, but
yeah, it was great. I mean, our team, I felt very lucky, to be on the, in the van that I was and on the whole team that I was, but they had such a system for the nighttime walking you guys did for us that, we had our lamps and our safety gear, and they would switch out the batteries, get everything ready, each time. So you just felt really taken care of, so it made the whole experience just that much more exciting. And, there's some kind of like being in the middle of the night. It's that like, it just felt good. And, I had like a hilly part and it was I could hear a river off in the distance. So it was really, it was great. I would do it again. It was fun.
Okay, that's so good to hear. I mean, I also, speaking of hills, Mike took our highest elevation geek
Yeah, you did.
which we were very grateful to Mike for, and Todd. We had a couple of people on this team that were ready to go and could take those harder legs, because that was another thing that we hadn't, we did. I will say Katrina Kahl did not know what she didn't know going into this race. And one of them was the way the leg assignments worked. And when I kind of saw how it was broken down, I was like, is it too late to call it off? But we made our way through and it was a lot of fun. And again, I'm so grateful to both of you. Hey, so were there any kind of surprises as you went through it besides the walking in the dark and sleeping in the rain, Mike?
Yeah. I think one of the surprises, I think Amani surprised me. He surprised me with his speed. The speed at which he was driven to complete it, and his legs in was very surprising to me. And I enjoyed, I had an absolute blast. But what I loved the most was the exchange point. The exchange points, those few seconds of the actual exchange where you're handing off the wristband to the other person or receiving it. It's almost like time kind of slowed down in those moments. And you would see their, it's like a combination of relief and happiness and joy on both sides, receiving and giving that wristband. The only way that wristband got from Portland to Seaside was by these handoffs, right? And Omani is one of my favorite and surprisingly pleasant parts of the event was the handoffs with Omani, and how committed he was to getting that wristband off and keep the progress going forward. It was very very insightful for me.
We were very surprised at Omani's pace in the first go. We were actually caught off guard when he made it to the exchange point. He really moved fast, and it was.
I'm not gonna lie, I was late for one of his exchanges. That's how fast he was. I was like 10 seconds late, and and just seeing that competitiveness come out, and just wanting to keep it going. It was good. It was definitely good to see. I was happy to see it.
Yeah, me too. And I will tell you, when we were starting off, and I kept talking to Omani about if he was ready to go and if he was ready for his legs, and he said, at the end of the day, I'll get it done, even if I just do it through sheer spite. And I thought that I could see that. And it was really fantastic having Brian's son with him throughout the event. And of course, we all know that Monty and actually walked that last leg with his dad, which I think was a really touching moment, and really, really great for the two of them to be able to have that, their conversation and their walk together at the end. So I also was really surprised by how much, like I said, the camaraderie in our van and with our teammates. And I have felt this need to check in with all of you guys the last couple of weeks, see how you're doing. And we still have we had set up the WhatsApp to encourage each other to train during the event. But now we're still like, hey, checking in on each other, sharing things that are happening in our lives. And I think that's a really special part of this relay that surprised me. Just how much I feel like, I'm already thinking to myself, do we have a reunion next year? And, what's the reunion going to be like? And I already I miss you guys. I miss hearing from you guys, and I just want to know how you're doing. So I think the camaraderie was really surprising, and so, I think my last question to both of you is, would you do it again?
100%. Absolutely.
Yes, I echo that. I mean, just, and I feel like I've just the experience itself, but I do feel like I made, friends for life. We had a special bond, a special experience, and I can't thank you enough for that, but I would definitely do it again.
Okay, I would too. And Mike, what about you? So yes, you do it again too.
Absolutely. I think just the like you said, the camaraderie and getting to know people, that by itself, take away the event, just getting together for something like that. I'd definitely be interested in doing again.
Well, me too. And I'm so glad that I got a chance to spend time with you guys. And I'm so glad that I got a chance to do what is actually a very iconic Portland event too. It is really something that every Portlander at some point is touched by. So being able to do this relay, which is now 40 years old, and people from all over the world attended, it was a really special time for me too. I'd be happy to do it in a heartbeat. And in the meantime, I just will keep up with the WhatsApp and seeing what you guys are up to and planning a reunion for next year. And I just want to thank you for being here today.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
The Brian Grant Foundation empowers people impacted by Parkinson's to lead active and fulfilling lives. Help support our efforts at briangrant.org. A special thank you to Raphael Sadiq for providing the music for this podcast, and to Market of Choice for sponsoring the Portland to Coast team. This podcast is produced by Brian Griggs. Learn more at griggsproductions.com.